And last but not least, we move on to RuneCraft. I'm excited for RuneCraft because, well, you see. Firstly, we have World Wielder. Oh no, not World Wielder. Word Wielder Ginger. She's a 9-cost 4/4, which is the weakest stats I've ever seen on a card, but her skill is extremely interesting. Fanfare. Change the cost of all allied followers in your hand to 0. Okay? Allied followers can't attack the enemy leader. Allied followers and amulets, fanfare, necromancy, enhance, and Earth-Rite abilities that activate upon being played from hand will not activate. Confusing? Yes it is, I'll explain later. These effects will last until the end of the turn this card is played. Okay, so what it means is, first part of the skill, change the cost of all allied followers, change the cost of all followers in your hand to 0. Allied followers can't attack the enemy leader. That part is simple enough to understand. Allied followers, fanfare, necromancy, enhance, Earth-Rites will not activate when being played from hand. So basically it negates any effect that would have occurred. It just doesn't occur. So any effect that you play from hand will not occur. So all your cards basically turn into vanilla cards. Except that they still have Ward, Bane, and whatever they have. Just that any fanfare, necromancy, enhance, Earth-Rite, all these special effects will not activate. And lastly, these effects will last until the end of the turn this card is being played. So basically this is a kind of game changer tempo play card. So assuming you have nothing on the board and your hand is full of 9 drops and 10 drops, you play her, everything is changed to 0, even though they have the effects negated. So you can play things like Bahamut, you can play things like your Flame Destroyer, you can play all the big cost cards for 0. Even though none of their effects will activate and they cannot attack the enemy leader, this effect only lasts until the end of the turn. At the start of your next turn, everything will be back to normal and you can just attack the enemy face or do whatever you want with the cards. The thing I think will be strong about this card is since it says these effects will last until the end of this turn this card is played. So if you think of effects that activate at the end of the turn, things like Lucifer, I'm not sure whether his effect will activate because his effect activates at the end of the turn as well. So does her effect go off first, followed by Lucifer's, or Lucifer's is negated, then her effect goes off? So I'm not sure, but I can tell it's gonna be a very strong turnaround card if you have, because she's basically a 0 to 100 burst. You play her, you dump everything onto the board, and then the next turn, if your opponent cannot deal with it, they lose. So yeah, she's a very interesting and strong card. I'm not sure how she'll be played though, but I'm definitely interested to see what becomes of her. Following that, we have Hulking Giant, and I love this card. Reason is it's a 6-drop 6/6. That's a pretty normal cost and stat. It's fanfare. Discard all of sigils from your hand and gain +2/+2 for each discarded card. So basically it means if you discard 1 of sigil, if he becomes a 8/8, if you discard 2 or 3, he becomes a 10/10 and 12/12 respectively. And his last skill can't be targeted by enemy spells and effects. We have a good Earth-Rite legendaries, ladies and gentlemen. Something that actually gives Earth-Rite pressure. Once again, Earth-Rite, as I said before, their weakness is they have lack of a win condition. This is a win condition. We have a win condition for Earth-Rite. Yes. So he doesn't even like drain that much resources. He discards all the Earth sigils, but if you have things like the something alchemy, the 2-drop which puts a Earth essence into your hand, you can very easily recover more Earth sigils. Or you could place some on the board beforehand before playing him, so that not all your Earth sigils get used up. So I think he's got to be very crucial and essential in Earth-Rite decks, and I think Earth-Rite will get much stronger from here on out. So next we have an 8 cost 4/4 Elder Mage of Dragon Lore. Once again, very weak stats, but his fanfare, summon a dragon, his Earth-Rite, summon a Wind Blast Dragon instead. So in case anybody doesn't know, a dragon is a 5/5, a Wind Blast Dragon is a 5/5 with Storm. So basically, if he will become a 9/9, total stat wise he's a 9/9, which is pretty good for 8 costs. And Earth-Rite, if you summon a Wind Blast Dragon, you have 9/9 with 5 damage going somewhere. So I can see this card being another win condition for Earth-Rite, simply because you can play him to summon a Wind Blast Dragon, which is 5 damage with Storm. If your opponent has no wards, that goes to face a few more times and your opponent's dead. And the thing about him is you don't have to run him in Earth-Rite as alone. You can run him in just normal RuneCraft, and he'll just summon a dragon for 9/9 stats, which is pretty good. Yeah, he's a pretty strong card. Only his cost is a little bit high, but it's not too bad. So next we have a 6 cost spell, Mutagenic Bolt. Its skill is transform all enemy followers into flame rats. So basically your board remains untouched, all enemy followers become flame rats. What are flame rats? Flame rats are 1 drops, 1/1. At the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to both leaders. So it's kind of like the Ambling Wraith ability. So once again, you have another finisher. You deal enough damage to your opponent, you destroy their board by transforming all their followers into flame rats. And then after that, the flame rats at the end of the turn will deal a lot of damage to both players. So if your health is higher than your opponent's, the flame rats will do the job for you and deal more damage and hopefully win the game. If not, both of your health just goes down a little bit. And since your board is stronger than your opponent's now, you shouldn't have much problem. So it's generally quite a good card. It's like a stronger version of Petrification, just that it's a mass petrification. Next you have a 5 cost 4/4 Magic Girl Melvi. Her art is pretty interesting. I wonder who drew her. So her skill is fanfare. Both players draw cards until each player has 7 cards in their hand. If anybody has played Yu-Gi-Oh before, they will know a certain card, a certain spell that has a very similar effect. And honestly, I think it's a great card, simply because I think this card will go into things like Temple RuneCraft and maybe some late game RuneCraft, simply because if you run out of resources, this card draws all the resources for you. If your opponent has a lot of resources and you don't have any resources, you draw the 7 cards, your opponent gets nothing. If both of you are low on resources, both of you draw 7 cards and both of you start the game equal again, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, I don't have any complaints about this card. In fact, I like the card's ability quite a bit. It just refills both of your resources, and yeah, that's about it. So next we have a 9 cost card, 4/4. Once again, very weak stats, but its fanfare is it's Chimera, by the way. Forgot the name. So its fanfare, deal 4 damage to an enemy follower, subtract 0 from the cost of this card, spell boost subtract 1 more. So it's kind of the flame destroyer kind of treatment. Deal 4 damage to an enemy follower, this is pretty good. And since you can subtract its cost, I think the moment you subtract it to something like 5 or 6 cost, it's already worth its cost. And then after that, if you subtract it to something like 0, it's extremely strong as a tempo play, because you deal 4 damage, you remove something, then you put 4/4 stats in the board. Pretty good. So next we have another interesting card, 7 cost Enchanted Sword. Give an allied follower +2/+2, subtract 0 from the cost of this card, spell boost subtract 1 more. Once again, another Flame Destroyer-esque card. Give an allied follower +2/+2. So I'm thinking this can be a new form of OTK. Basically, you know the card Blade Mage. You pump this card and Blade Mage down. Apologies, my battery just died there. So continuing on. As I said, Enchanted Sword, I think it will be a new variant of OTK, something OTK-ish cards. Because if you know the card Blade Mage, the 2/2 with Storm, if you pump this card with Blade Mage and you subtract its cost to 0, you can have something like a 6/6 Blade Mage charging for your opponent's face. Other than that, he's just a pretty normal card for buffing up things on the board. And if this card becomes free, then you just have a simple +2/+2, a free +2/+2, which is pretty good. But other than that, he just helps to fight for the board a little bit. Next, you have Freshman Low. She's a 2-cost 1/1. Her fanfare, put a random card with spell boost from your deck into your hand. So she's similar to Merlin and Mage Leader from Swordcraft. Simply, she draws resources out of your deck with a certain requirement. So I doubt you'll be playing only one card with spell boost inside a RuneCraft deck. But if you do, she can fish it out from your deck, and also she draws you more resources. Her stat-wise, she's not too bad. She's a 2-cost 1/1, which is, even though it's a little lackluster, her effect makes up for it. So, moving on, we have Magic Illusionist. He's a 2-cost 2/2 with Last Words. Perform Earth-Rite, summon a Magic Illusionist. I'm not sure how much I like him, simply because I have a feeling he'll go through all of your Earth-Rites very quickly. Because first he's a 2-cost 2/2, even though it's not bad. If you pump your board full of Earth-Rites, or full of Earth Sigils, excuse me, your opponent just has to keep killing him over and over again, and soon you'll find yourself out of Earth Sigils. And he really gets blocked off by wards because his stats are not very strong. So even though he survives on the board for very long, I think he'll drain your resources too quickly to be very playable. So I think maybe 2 copies of him are not bad, but I don't think he'll be played that often. Next, we have a 4-cost 4/3 Halo Golem. His skill is Earth-Rite, deal 3 damage to an enemy. Pretty generic. It's good for Earth-Rite decks because it gives them some more removal options, and his stats are not bad for a 4-drop either. So that's that. The only thing is, I kind of wished his health and attack flipped, because with 3 damage he gets answered by a lot of cards. Things like Blackened Scripture or Breath of the Salamander. Survivability wise is not the best, but his effect definitely fights for board for you. Moving on, we have Dazzling Healer, a 3-cost 2/3, not bad. Fanfare, restore 1 defense to all allied followers. Spell boost, restore 1 more. So it's kind of like the the Flame Destroyer treatment, where you spell boost and you add 1 more. The only downside is it only affects allied followers. If this restored health to the face as well, I think it will be much better, but of course it's only a 3-cost, so I think this is fine. I think it will be put more in things like Temple RuneCraft, simply because Temple RuneCraft, after their big Temple swing turn, they'll do a lot of trading to clean up the board. Dazzling Healer can help maintain the board, so it doesn't get wiped off so easily. Okay, so second last we have Mage of Nightfall. Her skill is Earth-Rite. gain +1/+1 and ambush. She's a 3-cost 3/2, so she'll turn into a 3-cost 4/3. With ambush, it's not bad, but once again, I think there are better options other than her for Earth-Rite decks. But I'm interested to see whether she'll find herself playable, because a 4/3 ambush is not bad, but I don't see like this. It doesn't have the best synergy, so to speak. So last but not least, we have Enchanted Library. It's a 2-drop amulet with countdown 2. At the end of your turn, put a random spell from your deck into your hand. So simply it draws resources for you, and it's a okay 2-drop to play because RuneCraft really doesn't need or have a lot of 2-drops that are necessary for them to play. Unlike things like Swordcraft, it doesn't really fight for the board as much as other clans. So, as much as other classes, sorry. I've been playing too many games and mixing up too many terms. But this card is generally quite good just for fishing out spells for resource.